So I'm going to continue talking about how to name these alkanes. So I'm going to draw a couple examples and show you a couple things that kind of happen with this problem. So again, we left off with the 2,3-dimethylpentane. So I'm going to draw another molecule here. So take a moment and draw that molecule. Take a moment and draw that molecule. All right, so you always must count what we call the longest chain. Now, please understand the longest chain doesn't mean it goes from left to right. So you have to look at this molecule and say, okay, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if I just go across there. But is there another way I could count the carbons? So how many carbons do I have in a row? Well, there's another way I could do it. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6 in a row. But I can also do this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the longest one, it seems to be, is 7. So I'm going to start numbering it. It's going to go here to here. Okay. Now what I have to understand is this is going to be a branch and that is going to be a branch. Okay. So I have to see if I start numbering here or if I start numbering down here, when does the branch first appear? So if I start down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's off the 4th. Here it's 1, 2, 3. So I want to start numbering here for my longest chain. So my longest chain happens to be 7. Okay, so it happens to be 7. So this is going to end in heptane. Okay, everything's single bonded. So I have 7, and those 7 are taken care of with that name, but I now have branches, okay? One carbon is what we call a methyl group, and this is called an ethyl. Okay, now, here is where it's so much fun. You must go by the alphabet in terms of the order, okay? So ethyl comes first in the alphabet because of the E versus the M. So that means when you're writing down the 2 branches, you're going to write the ethyl first, but you're going to put the 4 in front of the ethyl because that's the carbon it's off of. So this is going to be 4-ethyl and then 3-methyl heptane. Okay. Now, one thing I'm bad about is dashes and things like that. So you will sometimes see me write dashes, sometimes you won't. It is more correct to have a dash between the number and the branch. But again, that's just something that I have a hard time with somewhere. Why. Just kind of gets stuck in my head. All right, so let me draw another molecule. So take a look at this one. So again, you want to count the longest chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7 is the longest chain. This is then going to be a branch, and that's going to be a branch. So I want to start on what end? The left-hand side or the right-hand side? So I have to start over here because this branch here appears off the 3rd. If I started over here, that would be the 4th, and that wouldn't work. Now, both of these happen to be ethyls. Both of these happen to be ethyl groups. So longest chain is 7. So that is heptane again. But I have 2 ethyls. I have 2 ethyls. So I have to put a diethyl in front of it. Okay. And then I have to do the numbers. Where exactly are the 2 ethyls? So they're the 3rd and the 4th. And this is where you're going to see me use the comma again. So in between numbers, you're going to use commas. And then between the numbers and the branch, you're going to put a dash mark. All right, so let me finish with this last one on this page. So see if you could pause the video and see if you could name this. So this one has a little bit of a different thing to think about. I had a methyl group and an ethyl group off the longest chain, which was 6. So because this ethyl group is off of the 3rd carbon and this methyl group is off of the 3rd carbon, you technically have what we call a tie in terms of the branching system. So the tie is going to go to the alphabet. So that means I'm going to start numbering over here on the right versus the left. So that means it's going to be called 3-ethyl-4-methyl-hexane. And again, I forgot my dashes in between them. You will see I do that all the time. So please understand that alphabet is going to be a premier thing that we are going to be talking about. All right, so I want you to skip over for right now, at least at this part of the video, the molecular structure and condensed formula. I kind of introduced that to you before. Instead, I want us to look at what we call the cycloalkanes. And cycloalkanes are what we call a ring structure. And this ring structure means that all of the carbons are in what we call a circle. They're in a circle. So they have a very unique formula. Their formula is CnH2n. So if I have 4 carbons, I'm going to have 8 hydrogens attached. So if I draw the carbons in a circle, essentially, it turns out to be a square, each one of the carbons is only going to be able to have 2 hydrogens attached. So it's going to limit the number of hydrogens when you put it in a circle. And because it's in a circle, it's going to have a different naming system. Okay, now the good news, it's the same number prefix. So this is still going to be bute because there are 4. So this is going to end in butane because it is all single bonded. So it's going to end in A-N-E. But I have to tell everybody it's a ring structure. It's a circle. So we're going to call it a cyclobutane. So I know that it's in a ring. All right. So when we are doing these rings, okay, we have to talk about the branches we could do on them. Okay, so let's draw 5, and then I'm going to draw some branches. Okay, so this one is 5 carbons in the cyclo. Okay, the good news is that's always going to be the longest chain. Okay, so you don't have to go off from this and then start counting the ones that go down here. So the longest chain is always going to be the cyclo, always going to be the cyclo. So this is going to end in cyclopentane, pent meaning 5. Okay, now I have what we call an ethyl group here, and I have a methyl group. Okay. Now, just like before, okay, ethyl is going to come first in the alphabet compared to methyl. So how do I number my carbons, okay? How do I do 1 through 5? Well, I'm going to start on the carbon that's going to give me the least number in my final answer. So I want to start numbering with the ethyl group because that's going to come first in the alphabet. And then I could go clockwise or I could go counterclockwise. There are no rules, okay? So I couldn't put this 2, 3, 4, 5 if I wanted to. But if I do it that way, the 5 is then going to be the methyl. And I don't want methyl to have a large number. If I were to do it the opposite way and change that to clockwise, the methyl group would be a 2. So that's how I'm going to name the molecule. So this is going to be called 1-ethyl, which was not under dispute, but then I'm going to call it a 2-methyl, okay? Because that is the best way to number this system. This is the best way to number this system, okay? So again, the good news with the cyclos is the cyclo is always going to be the longest chain. The tricky part is going to be the numbering system for the branches.